dear friends. Welcome to this magical moment of learning and sharing. I am your host, Eve. I have been talking about my French learning experience and my French cultural experience while living in France. And these years, the 5 years that I spent in France, were so formative for me, right? So in my first year, I was a jeune fille au pair, and I was living with a host family. And thereafter, starting from my second year to the fifth year, I was on my own because I decided to participate more in the French learning, meaning more hours of learning. So I needed to get my own studio where I could leave and go to class when I needed to, right? And so I had to get a job while going to school, and at the time, the jobs that I could do were mostly babysitting jobs, right? And it was wonderful because I got to learn so much. I got to learn how to take care of myself, how to manage my personal finances because everything depended on Eve. Everything depended on me, from tuition fees to rent costs um, to the food cost. All that had to be paid by Eve. And at that time, I couldn't ask my parents for any financial assistance, right? And so I did all that. I learned so many things. This is the country that taught me to take time with myself, to really question my lifestyle, to question how I wanted to live. Well, more so because I didn't have so much money to buy anything that I wanted. So that meant I had to be frugal with money. And I learned how to take care of myself physically because in while buying books in France, because I didn't have a television, so I needed to occupy my time with something else. What I did was I used to buy books and read, and in one of the books that I got to read was the book Guérir, which I talked about earlier in one of my episodes. And in this book, I learned how to do physical activity so that I wouldn't be stressed, so that I wouldn't be overwhelmed by studies and work. So that's how I first bought my shoes, my running shoes, so that I could run in the park. And while living in France, this is where I also learned how to read some more. Like I occupied my extra free time with books. As I didn't have a television set, I would just go to the library or I would go to FNAC, which is a mega bookstore in France. And it was amazing. This huge bookstore with books. And I learned of very interesting books. One of the books that I got to learn about was L'Art de la Simplicité. Epic book that I will talk about in the future. And in it, I learned so many things that I didn't need much to live well, right? And so I managed to do things for myself. I managed how to take care of my finances because I had to pay my tuition fees and my living costs and my, everything, right? So it was really wonderful to learn all these important and essential tips on how to live and by myself without crying for daddy or mommy, right? So I learned how to take care of myself for 5 years without my family. I learned how to be a woman, right? And it was wonderful, really wonderful. And living in a different country teaches you a lot, teaches you what is important. It teaches us what to appreciate that we have back home, right? And after my séjour in France, my living in France, I was ready to even be better when I went back home to my country in Kenya, right? So France taught me a lot. France taught me to be resilient. France taught me to be more determined. France taught me hardships. France taught me to be fast, to be efficient. You know, when you live on your own, when you have just you to take care of everything, then you learn as much as you can. So France grew me. France molded me to be a wonderful, tough person, right? And in future, I will talk about other things that I learned in France, right? So seize opportunities to immerse yourself in a different culture. There's always something that we don't know that we can adopt in our lifestyles, right? So that is it for today. Thank you for watching my video content, and I hope that you get tips on how to live better, and I hope that this content is useful to you. So until next time, be good to yourself and be good to those around you. Thank you.